everyone. Myself Gautam Kumar, Assistant Professor MMIC TBM. I am DU Mulana. My subject is System Analysis and Design. Subject code is BC204, and today we are going to discuss about the information gathering tool. In previous session, we have discussed why information gathering is have too much importance during the system development. So, today we will discuss about the various tools used in information gathering. Content for the session will be review of literature, procedure and form, that is the tool for the information gathering. On-site observation, it is also another tool. Interview and questionnaires. We will discuss the advantages, disadvantages and the related terms during the session for the information gathering tools. The approach and manner in which information is gathered require person with sensitivity, common sense and knowledge of what and when to gather and the channel used to secure the information. We have four commonly used information gathering tools. The first is review of literature, procedures and forms, second is on-site observation, third is interview and fourth one is the questionnaires. The information gathering tools which we are going to use and which we generally use, that will generate the data organization that will help in system development. It will provide you the conceptual model of the system, how the data will be accessed and how the data will flow in the system. So, in the diagram you can easily see that information gathering tools are review literature, procedures and forms, on-site observation, interviews and questionnaires. And after performing or after using these tools, we will have the data organization for the working system as per the user requirement. So, first of all we are going to discuss about the review of literature, procedures and forms. So, when we are using this tool, we will review of the existing records, procedures and forms help to seek insights into a system which describes the current system capabilities, its operations or activities. So, we have some previously problems and their solution which we can refer to solve the current situation or current problem for the candidate system. We have some journals, we have some written literature through which we can easily find out which solution can be we use for that particular information gathering process. There are some advantages of using the review of literature, procedures and forms. It helps users to gain some knowledge about the organization or operations by themselves before they impose upon others. It helps in documenting current operations within short span of time, as the procedure, manuals and forms describe the format and functions of present system. It can provide a clear understanding about the transactions that are handled in the organization, identifying inputs for processing and evaluating performance. It can help an analyst to understand the system in terms of operations that must be supported. It describes the problem, it affected parts and the proposed solutions. The disadvantages in using the review of literature, procedures and form as a information gathering tools can be: the primary drawback of this search is time. It will take a lot of time when we are reviewing the literature and procedures and having the forms as tools as a information gathering. Sometimes it will be difficult to get certain reports. Publications may be expensive and the information may be outdated due to a time. If we are going to use a review of literature, sometimes the source of information or literature can be of expensive. We have to pay some amount to access the literature from that source. So, it can be expensive and that information can be of outdated, because that literature can be related to a very time ago in the solution of a particular problem. Lag in the publications, that is also related to the time problem, because it can be a outdated solution for the current problem of the candidate system. The second tool which we use for the information gathering is the on-site observation. It is a fact finding method that is used by the system analyst or the for the direct observation on the site. It is the process of recognizing and noting people, objects and occurrence to obtain information. The major objective of on-site observation is to get as close as possible to the real system being studied. For this reason, it is important that the analyst is knowledgeable about the general makeup and activities of the system. The analyst's role is that of an information seeker. So, generally when we are using on-site observation for the information gathering, we interact with the real organization in which we are going to that organization is going to adopt the system which we are making for the solution of any problem. So, that will help to understand how the hierarchy of organization, how that data can be followed and to whom is to reporting to whom. So, that will help to understand or to create a better system, and these tools are widely used for information gathering. The analyst follows a set of rules as an observer on the site. Like while making observation, he or she is more likely to listen than talk and has to listen with interest when information is passed on. So, generally on-site observation, during the on-site observation, analyst is a listener and he or she listen the things with interest when someone is giving some information and when someone is talking to the analyst. The analyst has to observe the physical layout of the current system, the location and movement of the people and the workflow. So, it will help by understanding the workflow of an organization, it will help the analyst to figure out the data flow for the existing or physical system. The analyst has to be alert to the behavior of the user staff and the people to whom they come into contact. A change in the behavior provides a clue to an experienced analyst. The clue can be used to identify the problem. So, in on-site observation, analyst is keeping his eyes what is going on in the organization to find out the solutions and to find out the problems that can be occurred in the during the when we are going to adopt the physical system. The following questions can serve as a guide for on-site observation, like what kind of system is it, what does it do. So, during the on-site observation, analysts come to know which type of system the organization is have to operate the functionality of the organization and what the organization is doing, who run the system, who are the policy makers, who are the executives in the organization, who are the important people in it, what is the history of the system and how did it get to its present state of development. And the fourth is, apart from its formal function, what kind of system is it in comparison with other system in the organization. So, these are the some questions that can be served during the on-site observation. We will discuss what are the advantages using on-site observation as an information gathering tool. It is a direct method of gathering information, because the organization and analyst and the person who are working for the organization, they are directly interacting to each other. So, it is a very straight method to gather the information about the system or organization. It is useful in situation where authenticity of data collected is in question, or when complexity of certain aspects of system prevents clear explanation by the end user. It produces more accurate and reliable data. It produces all the aspect of documentation that is incomplete and outdated. Some difficulties can be faced during the on-site observation, and we will discuss in this slide. Some difficulties in on-site observation can be, it is the most difficult fact finding technique. It requires intrusion into the user's area and can cause adverse reaction by the user's staff if not handled properly. Because analyst has to observe all the things, and during the observation sometimes analyst has to interfere the working of a person, and sometimes it can be not suitable, and if it is not handled properly. If on-site observation is to be done properly in a complex situation, it will be time consuming. If there are some complex workflow of the organization and we are going to gather information by using the on-site observation, it will be a time consuming process. So, it is the disadvantages, or this is the difficulty to complete the information gathering process on the time. Proper sampling procedures must be used to identify the stability of the behavior being observed. Otherwise, inference drawn from these samples will be inaccurate and unreliable. Attitude and motivation of subjects cannot be easily observed. As an observer, the analyst follow a set of rules while making observation, and he or she should be more likely to listen than talk, and to listen with a sympathetic and genuine interest when information is conveyed. So, during the information gather, analysis is not like to tell something, it is only to acquire the information which is being passed on by the other members of the organization, and that will be a difficult situation for a person to work and to find out the information. 4 alternative methods or observation can be used. The first one is the natural or contrived. A natural observation occurs in a setting such as the employee's place of work, whereas the observer in the place like a laboratory setups in contrived observation. So, in natural the observer is in the employee's workplace and having eyes for the information gathering over the process, and in the contrived way the person who is performing the duty of analyst for the system development will be in the lab, and that place he or she try to get the information. Obstructive and unobstructive method of on-site observation are there, and obstructive observation takes place when the respondent knows he or she is being observed. So, the person who is under observation, they know someone is observing us, and in the unobserved observation takes place in a contrived way, such a behind a one-way mirror, like the analyst or observer can see and can observe the working of the person who is being observed, but the person who is being observed have no knowledge about the observation, direct or indirect observation. A direct observation takes place when the analyst actually observe the subject of the system at the work, and in an indirect observation the analyst uses the mechanical devices such as cameras and videotapes to capture the information. So, in direct observation there is no presence of the observer, but in the case of direct observation the analysts have the physical appearance during the observation of the system or work. The fourth way of on-site observation is, or the fourth method is structured or unstructured observation. In a structured observation, the observer looks for the records as a specific action, and in unstructured method place the observer in a situation to observe whatever might be applicable at the time. So, in structured observation they have some procedures, they have to follow some step for the records for information gathering, but in unstructured way they will apply what is available at the time during the observation. The third tool for the information gathering is interviews. On-site observation is less effective for learning about people's perceptions, feelings and motivations. The alternative is the personal interview and questionnaires. To overcome this problem, because on-site observation is not giving the opportunity to know about the people's perception, feelings and motivation, we have another method which will overcome this problem, like interview and questionnaires. In both the methods, heavy reliance is placed on the interviews report for the information about the job, the present system or experience. The quality of a response is judged in terms of its reliability and validity. Reliability means that the information gathered is trustworthy enough to be used for making decisions about the system being studied. Validity means the question to be asked are worded in such a way as to elicit the intended information. So, the reliability and the validity of a data collected depends on the design of the interview or questionnaires and the manner in which each instrument is administered. The interview is a face-to-face interpersonal role situation in which a person called the interviewer asks a person being interviewed questions designed to gather information about a problem area. The interview is the oldest and the most often used device for gathering the information in system work. It can be used for the two main purposes. The first one as an exploratory device to identify the relations or verify the information, and the second one is the to capture information as it exists. Systems analysts collect information from individuals or group by interviewing. The analysis can be formal, legalistic, play politics or be informal. As the success of an interview depends on the skill of the analyst as interviewer. The interview will be very successful if the person who is playing as the interviewer have the good skill set. There are two type of interview. The first one is the unstructured and the second is the structured interview. The unstructured interview is non-directive information gathering technique. People can answer in their own word, and the standardized question improve the reliability of the responses by ensuring that all subjects are responding to the same questions. Structured interviews and questionnaires may differ in the amount of structuring of the question. Advantages of interviewing. This method is frequently the best source of gathering qualitative information. It is useful for them who do not communicate effectively in writing or who may not have the time to complete the questionnaires. Information can easily be validated and cross checked immediately. It can be handle the complex subject. It is easy to discover key problem by seeking opinions. It bridges the gap in the area of misunderstanding and minimize the future problem. The disadvantages of an interview are: the major drawback of the interview is long preparation time. Interview also take a lot of time to conduct, which means time and money. So, basically disadvantage is related to the time for the interviewer. He is spending time to conduct the interview, and for the interview he or she has to prepare for the interview. So, time is the it is a time consuming process, that is the main disadvantage of an interview. In an interview, since the analyst and the person interviewed meet face to face, there is an opportunity for gather flexibility in eliciting information. The interviewer is also in a natural position to observe the subject and the situation to which they are responding. In contrast, the information obtained through a questionnaire is limited to be written responses of the subject of predefined questions. Interviewing is an art. The analysts learn the art by experience. The interviewer's art consists of creating a permissive situation in which the answers offered are reliable. Respondents' opinions are offered with no fear of being criticized by others, and primary requirement for a successful interview are to create a friendly atmosphere and to put the respondent at ease. Then the interview proceeds and with the asking questions, properly obtaining reliable responses and recording them accurately and completely to figure out the gathered information about any problem. So, basically during the interview, the interviewer tries to make interview as comfortable as he or she can make, because in the if interviewer is feeling comfort or he is in ease to communicate, at that time interviewer can get the more accurate and reliable information from the interview related to the problem, and it will help to get the reliable and accurate responses about the question asked during the interview. How to arrange an interview? The interview should be arranged so that the physical location, time of the interview and order of interviewing assure the privacy and minimal interruption. A common area that is non-threatening to the respondent is chosen, where the person who is being interviewed can feel ease to interviewed or feel comfort. Appointments should be made well in advance and a fixed time period adhere to as closely as possible. Interview schedules generally begin at the top of the organization structure and work down so as not to offend anyone. There are some points or some guides which we have to keep in our mind for a successful interview. In an interview, the following steps should be taken. The first point is set the stage for the interview. Set the stage means create an environment where the person who is being interviewed can feel comfort and have no hesitation during the communication with the interviewer. The second thing is establishing the rapport. It means we are making the interview very formal, and there is no hesitation during the there should no hesitation during the interview, and we are putting the interview at the ease for the communication or for the questions in the interview. Phrase questions clearly and briefly. We have to ask the question in a very cleared way. There should be no ambiguity and no other meaning of the question that can be assumed by the interview or the person who is being interviewed. Be a good listener. Avoid argument. During the interview, an interviewer should be a good listener and always keep him or himself from the arguments. Keep him and himself away from the argument. The fifth point is evaluate the outcome of the interview. The answers or responses for the questions during the interview should be evaluated. What we have gathered, what we have acquired after the interview with the person for the specific problem. The fourth one is the questionnaire. This method is used by the analyst to gather information about various issues of system from large number of persons. This tool has collection of questions to which individual respond. In interview, we are communicating face to face, but in questionnaires we have a large number of people and large number of persons, or we have a group to whom we are asking some questions, and we have set of questions and individual responses will be recorded in the questionnaire. What are the advantages using questionnaire as an information gathering tool? The first is it is economical and require less skill to administrator than the interview. Unlike the interview, which generally questions are subject at a time, a questionnaire can be administered to large number of individuals simultaneously. The standardized wording and order of questions and the standardized instructions for reporting responses ensure uniformity and uniformity of the questions. The respondent feel greater confidence in the anonymity of questionnaires than in that of an interview, because in questionnaire we have set up some questions and we have to give answer, and there is no direct communication with the interviewer. So, it will give the high level of confidence while the respondents are giving their responses about any question asked in the questionnaires as compared to the interview. In an interview, the analyst usually knows the user staff by name, job functions or other identification. With the questionnaires, respondents give opinions without fear that the answer will be connected to their names. So, there are some confidence that no one is going to relate the answers with themselves, because during the questionnaires the person who is administrating the questionnaires has no knowledge about the persons who are involving in the questionnaire. The questionnaire places less pressure on subjects for immediate responses. Respondents have time to think the questions over and do calculation to provide more accurate data. So, response time is more to respond about any question by the interview, or in interview we have to just give the answer when someone asks any question. So, in questionnaire, after making some calculation and thinking peacefully, we can give the answer more accurately. There are two type of questionnaires, the open ended questions and close ended questions can be used in the questionnaire. Open ended questions requires no response direction or specific response. Questionnaire in written with space provided for the responses. Such questions are more often used in interview than in questionnaire because scoring takes time. So, that is there are no limited options for answer in open ended questions. You just can write the answer in his or her own words. In close ended questions, the responses are presented as a set of alternative. We have some set of responses like option A, B, C and many more, and we have to choose out of these answers. So, that is the close ended, that is the type of close ended questions, and majorly we have 5 types of the closed questions, like fill in the blanks. We have to fill one word, and decomatous, yes or no type questions, ranking scale questions like out of 10 how much you want to give on any scale. Multiple choice question, we have 4 or 6 answer of any question and we have to choose one or more than one of answers for a specific question. And rating scales. There are some disadvantages of the open ended question and the close ended questions, which we will discuss. Like the disadvantages of the open ended questions, the first disadvantage, the main drawback is the difficulty to interpreting the subjective answers and the tedious responses to open ended questions, because it is a time consuming process. As the number of response are increasing, it will increase the time to interpret the descriptive answers about a question. And other drawback are potential analysis, biased in interpreting the data and time consuming tabulation. Closed questions are quick to analyze. And the disadvantage is, while we are using the close ended question in the questionnaire, they are costly to prepare and they have the additional advantages of ensuring that answers are given in a frame of reference consistent with the line of inquiry. There are 6 steps for constructing a questionnaires, or the procedure which we have to follow during the construction of questionnaires can be covered by discussing these 6 points. The first point is decide on the data should be collected, that is used to define the problem to be investigated. Second point is decide the type of questionnaire should be used, close ended or open ended. Outline the topics for the questionnaire and then write the questions. Edit the questionnaires for technical defects and reflect personal values. Process the questionnaires to see how well it works, and do a final editing to ensure that questionnaires is ready for administration. This includes a close look at the content, form and sequences of questions, as well as the appearance and clarity of the procedures for ensuring the questionnaires. So, before creating a questionnaires, what we have to do? We have to decide the data to be collected, decide the type of questionnaires, open ended or close ended, outline the topic of the questionnaire and edit the questionnaires and persist the questionnaire how it will work, and finally, we have to once go through the questionnaire before final administration of the questionnaire. Because the information gathered is based on the reliability and validity. So, during the information gathered from interview and questionnaires, the data collected from the user staff is assumed to correspond to a way in which events occurs. If such reports are used, then there will be several errors, like reports of a given event from staff members who has title training in observation will not be accurate, respondents' ability to forget the things, reluctance of persons being interviewed, and inability of the participant to communicate their ideas or the analysis to get required information from the participants. So, there are some hurdles and that will affect the reliability of the data, because users can forget about some figures during the interview or the questionnaires, and inability to express the ideas during the information gathering process can also have a question about the reliability of the data collected from the respondent during the interview and questionnaires. The reliability validity issue. Information gathering instrument faces two major tests, like reliability and validity. The term reliability is synonymous with dependability and consistency and accuracy. Concern for reliability comes from the necessity for dependability in measurement. Reliability may be approached in three ways. The first is, if we administer the same questionnaire to the same subject, will be get the similar or same results. The question implies a definition of reliability as stability, dependability and the predictability. Second is, does the questionnaire measure the true variables? This question focus on the accuracy aspect of the reliability. And third one is, how much error of measurement is there in the proposed questionnaires. Errors of measurement are random errors. So, we have to focus on the reliability and validity of the information gathered during the information gathering process. Thank you, and these are the references for the slide.